Hey guys, tonight we're going to talk about a really spooky place. The kind of place where you think ghosts might live, and maybe even rainbows of cobwebs and creepy shadows whisper in the night. Yep, I'm talking about the old mansion that sits on the very top of a tall, windy hill. It's a place that makes your knees shake just thinking about it, especially when the sky gets dark, the clouds roll in, and rain starts pouring down like crazy. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mansions? Top of a hill? That's just a fancy house, right? Well, not quite. This isn't any normal fancy house. No, sir. This mansion is special. It's old, super old, like hundreds of years old, and it's built right over a secret that most people don't even know about. You see, beneath this mansion's fancy floors and grand walls, there's a dark, hidden place. And that dark secret is what makes the house so spooky. Let me take you back a little bit. Long ago, before the mansion was even built, the land on top of the hill was a quiet place. There were trees all around, tall and thick, like giant green giants watching over the land. Sometimes, when I think about those trees, I imagine they whisper in the wind, sharing stories of what used to be there before the house came. The ground beneath the trees was soft and muddy, probably because it rained a lot back then, and the air was filled with the smell of fresh earth and wildflowers. But deep beneath the ground, there was something others didn't see or understand. You see, the land was used long ago as a burial ground. People did terrible things there in the old days, wars, fights, and big secrets that got buried with those who were laid to rest. And because of that, it's said that strange things happen there now, around the hill. People say they can hear whispers carried by the wind, especially when the rain smacks against the windows and the thunder rumbles like a big drum. Some folks even talk about seeing shadows move quickly, just out of the corner of their eyes, like ghosts trying to hide from the rain. But who built the mansion? A long, long time ago, a rich man with a big fancy house decided to make that hill his home. His name was Mr. Grayson, and he loved the views from the top of the hill. They said he wanted to make something beautiful on the outside, but inside, he was hiding something. Maybe he knew about the buried secrets beneath the ground, or maybe he just loved the spooky feeling that came with living where the land had a dark past. Whatever he thought, he built that house right on top of the burial ground, right over where many old bones have been laid in their graves. And you know what's funny? When they built the mansion, they didn't even think about the land's history. They just brought in big stones, hammered them into place, and made the grand hallways, the tall windows, and the huge staircases. But as they worked, strange things started happening. Workers would see blurred figures in the corner of their eyes. Doors would open and close all by themselves. And sometimes, when it rained, you could hear faint voices whispering beneath the pounding of the rain on the roof. It was almost like the house was alive, listening, watching, waiting. People who lived nearby would tell stories about hearing footsteps in the night. Soft, little footsteps that didn't belong to anyone human. Or flickering lights in the windows, even when no one was supposed to be home. Kids who dared to go close enough said the wind carried voices that sounded like crying or calling for help. But whenever they looked, there was no one there. And if you looked up at that big old mansion from far away, especially during a thunderstorm, you'd swear you saw shadows darting behind the curtains, like they were playing hide and seek with the rain. Some folks said the mansion was haunted, and some said it was cursed. Or maybe both. Nobody really knew. But everyone agreed that something strange was going on there. Something beyond just old bricks and fancy furniture. And tonight, I want you to imagine being there, on that hill, under the darkening sky, about to step into the shadows of the mansion's grand door. I know, it sounds super scary, but don't worry. I'll be right here with you. We'll take this spooky journey together. And maybe, just maybe, we'll find out what really happens when rain falls on a house built over a very, very old secret. So, picture this. The clouds are gathering, thunder rumbles in the distance, and the rain begins softly at first, just a little pitter-patter. Then it turns into a heavy downpour that makes the windows rattle and the ground shake. The mansion's old. Creaking doors wait patiently for someone brave, or foolish, enough to come closer. The wind sings a strange tune that seems to say, "Come inside if you dare." And I promise, at that exact moment, strange things start happening. Because, listen closely, the more the rain pours, the more the house seems to come alive. And what's hiding inside? Well, we'll find out soon enough. For now, just imagine yourself standing at the bottom of that hill, looking up at the dark silhouette of the mansion, feeling that tingle of fear and curiosity. The night is young, and the rain is just beginning to fall. Get ready, because things are about to get really spooky. The rain is falling harder now, pounding against the windows like 1,000 tiny drums. It's that kind of rain that makes everything outside look blurry and strange, like the world has turned into a watercolor painting with black, gray, and white all mingling together. The sky is dark, so dark that it feels like night has decided to stay forever. I stand outside, looking up at the mansion, which looms over me like a giant shadow. It's silent except for the rain and the distant roll of thunder, which shakes the ground beneath my feet. You might think a place like that would be quiet and lonely, but tonight it feels much different. It feels alive, like the house is breathing, waiting for something or someone. I can sense that deep inside the house. Something is stirring, something old and strange. My heart beats faster, but I try to stay brave. I tell myself it's just my imagination playing tricks, but deep down, I know better. The first sign that something isn't quite right is the way the wind howls through the trees. It sounds almost like whispers, soft, gentle whispers, coming from inside the house. I clutch my coat tighter around myself and listen. Was that a whisper? Or did I just imagine it? The rain continues to fall, soaking everything in a cold, damp embrace. The windows of the mansion are lit up from inside, but the lights flicker like ghostly eyes watching out into the night. I step closer, feeling nervous but curious. What if I could see inside? Maybe I'd see ghosts, or maybe I'd find out what's making those whispers. I remember what the old town legend said, that the house was built right over a burial ground, and that the spirits there never really rest. They whisper, they watch, and sometimes they try to get your attention. As I walk toward the mansion, I notice the front door is slightly ajar. That's odd, because I swear I closed it earlier today. Maybe the wind blew it open, or maybe something else. The door squeaks as I push it gently open. Inside, I see darkness. The big hallway is filled with shadows that seem to dance and wiggle. The floorboards creak beneath my feet, and I can feel the cold air creeping in from the broken window panes. And then I hear it, the faint sound of footsteps. Not my own, but other footsteps, softer and lighter, like a whisper. They seem to come from upstairs, from the dark, winding staircase that leads to the upper floors. I freeze. Did I hear that right? Was that just the house settling? Or was it something else? Something alive? I slowly walk closer, try not to make a sound. My shoes sink into the thick, dusty carpet, and I notice that the air smells different. Faintly sweet, but also a little rotten, like old flowers or maybe something more mysterious. The hallway is lined with portraits of long-gone people, whose eyes seem to follow me as I move. Their faces are faded and blurry, but their gaze feels real enough to shiver me to the bone. Suddenly, the house seems to groan, like a big, tired giant stretching after a long nap. The windows rattle and the lights flicker wildly. It's as if the house is waking up, alive with memories and whispers of the past. Then I hear the footsteps again, closer this time, clicking softly on the wooden stairs. My heart pounds like a drum. I want to run, but my curiosity keeps me rooted. I peek up the staircase, which spirals into darkness. Down the hall, something flickers, perhaps a shadow, or maybe just a trick of the flickering lights. I stare at it, trying to decide whether to go up or run away. What's waiting at the top? Ghosts? Secrets? Do I even want to find out? The rain outside is still falling heavy, crying tears of its own. Thunder booms like a giant drum, making the walls shake and the house tremble. In the distance, I think I catch sight of faint glowing figures, like tiny fireflies, dancing between the shadows. Are they real? Or are they just my eyes playing tricks, tired and rain-drenched? I step inside a room on the ground floor, just to have a safe place to think. It's dark and cold, lined with old furniture covered in white sheets. I see a broken mirror in the corner, reflecting the flickering light, and making it look like the house itself is flickering, alive with a strange, ghostly glow. I sit down on a dusty armchair, trembling slightly, as I listen for what might come next. Then, just as I close my eyes for a moment, I hear it again, soft, whispering voices. Not in my head, I'm sure of it. They sound like they're trying to tell me something. But what? Maybe it's just the house cracking and sighing, or maybe it's something much more. I want to understand, really I do, but I also want to run far away. But my feet won't move. I'm trapped between fear and curiosity. In that moment, the rain shifts from pouring to a gentle drizzle. The thunder dies down, leaving only the hush of the house and the faint whispers. The house seems to breathe out, as if it's tired, old, and ready to share a secret. I sit there in the darkness, wondering what secrets lie beneath that roof. Secrets buried deep in the ground below. Secrets that have stayed hidden for hundreds of years. The rain keeps falling, and somewhere inside, the house waits with its stories. I can feel it deep inside my bones. The pounding, the whispering, the silent watching. I realize that this is only the beginning. Things are about to get even stranger, and I am right in the middle of it all. The rain has slowed to a steady drip now, whispering against the broken windows and splattering on the cracked old floors of the mansion. The house feels heavier, quieter in a way that's almost too quiet, except for the occasional creak or groan, as if the building itself is sighing from the weight of many years and secrets long buried. I sit on the dusty floor, pressed against the cold wall, my eyes flickering across the shadowy room. Outside, the storm has calmed a little, but the sky above remains dark, thick with clouds that seem to press down on a house like a giant, invisible hand. I try to listen, really listen, for any sound beyond the rain, the faintest whisper, the scrape of something moving. It's funny how your mind can play tricks in the dark, especially when you're scared. Sometimes, I think I see shadows that aren't really there, dark shapes that dart between the light and the dark corners of the room. They look like they're alive, flickering just out of reach. It's strange. Sometimes I feel like the shadows are trying to tell me something. Or maybe they're just playing, hiding in the corners, waiting for me to drift closer. I stare at the flickering candle I found on a dusty table. Its flame dances gently, casting weird shapes on the walls, like monsters or maybe just silly shadows. I wonder if the shadows outside are just the trees and the rain, or if there's more to see. Suddenly, I notice it, there on the wall, just above the open doorway. A shadow, not a regular shadow, but one that moves. It shifts and slides like a dark streak gliding across the wall. I blink hard, thinking my eyes are playing tricks. But no, it's definitely there, black and long, flickering as if it's alive. My breath catches in my throat. What could it be? Is it a ghost? A ghostly hand? Or just the way the shadows from a flickering candlelight land? I try to stay still, not to scare whatever is away. The shadow moves again, stretching and twisting. It seems to reach out, like it's trying to grab something, or maybe someone. My heart races. Maybe it's just the house's way of making me feel nervous, of teasing me with shapes and figures that vanish the moment I look directly at them. And then I remember something I heard once, about how old houses like this one can play tricks on your eyes. They say that the shadows aren't really there, just tricks of the light, fancy illusions made by flickering flames and dusty walls. But deep inside, I think I know better. I think those shadows are alive somehow, watching, waiting for the right moment to move. I feel the cool air brush my face, and I realize I need to get a better look. Carefully, I inch a little closer to the shadow, trying to stay calm. I want to see if it's just a flickering candle, or there's something more. I peer into the darkness, and just then, the shadow shifts again. This time, it's longer, more stretched out, like a long black cloth drifting in the wind. Except there's no wind, just the house's old, tired breath. I hold my breath and stare harder. The shadow seems to slide across the wall, and then down toward the floor. I notice an odd, faint glow around it, like a tiny spark of light caught in the darkness. Could it be a spirit? Or maybe just a trick? I squint, trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. In that moment, the house creaks again, much louder this time. It's almost a growl, like an old beast waking from a nap. My skin prickles, and I feel a shiver run down my spine. I know I shouldn't stay here much longer, but I can't help but watch. I want to see what the shadow will do next, what secret it might be hiding. Then, suddenly, the shadow dissolves, vanishes into thin air, like mist drifting away with the morning sun. For a second, I feel relief. Maybe it was just a trick of the light after all. But just as I start to calm down, I hear it again, soft footsteps, light and quick, moving along the hallway. They're faint, but I can hear them clearly, a soft, whispering sound that I can't quite ignore. My heart bumps loudly in my chest. I follow the sound with my eyes, peering into the darkness outside my safe little corner. The footsteps seem to come closer, echoing on the old wood floor. For a moment, I think about running, about hiding behind the furniture or under a table. But my curiosity is stronger. I want to see what's making the footsteps, who or what it is. At first, I don't see anyone. The hallway is empty, except for shadows and flickering light. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I catch a flicker of something, glowing eyes. Not bright or scary, but soft and gentle, like tiny lanterns floating in the dark. They stare at me, calm and curious. They blink slowly as if asking, "Are you lost? Are you scared?" I want to say something to tell them I'm not afraid, but my voice is trapped, silent in my throat. The eyes seem to grow closer, and just then I realize they are not eyes. They are tiny, glowing orbs, like little stars that have fallen from the sky and landed right here inside the house. And they float near the floor, glowing softly as they move toward me. The house suddenly feels warm, like a big soft blanket, instead of cold and creepy. Maybe these spirits, if they really are spirits, are not here to hurt. They could be lost, just like me. They might be waiting for someone to understand them, to listen to their stories. I stretch out my hand, slowly, softly, and the orbs drift closer, glowing brighter. It's as if the house itself is inviting me to understand its secret, one glow at a time. The rain has mostly stopped now, but the sky is still dark and heavy with clouds. The house is quiet again, save for the faint hum of the wind outside. The glowing orbs settle around me, like tiny lanterns, and I feel peaceful. For a moment, the shadows and the whispers fade away, replaced by the gentle light of the spirits around me. I sit there in silence, watching the floating lights, and I realize that maybe this house isn't just a haunted, scary place. Maybe it's a home, full of stories, spirits, and secrets that need to be told. The house has been waiting for someone like me, someone brave enough to listen. And maybe it's okay if I stay a little longer, just to hear what it wants to say. And so, I sit quietly, watching the glowing orbs and listening to the house breathe. The storm is over for now, but the house still hums with life, alive with memories, whispers, and the peaceful glow of tiny spirits. And as I close my eye for a moment, I feel sure that I am not alone. The shadows may be moving, but they are not all dark and scary. Some shadows are friendly, waiting patiently for someone brave enough to listen. Tomorrow I might leave, or maybe I'll stay a little longer. But tonight, I've seen some of the house's hidden secrets. And I can tell you, it's a place full of mysteries that only the brave will ever truly understand. The first thing I notice now is how quiet the house has become, like someone has pressed a giant pause button. Outside, the rain is just a faint drizzle, and the thunder has gone far away, leaving only a gentle murmur in the clouds. Inside, everything feels different. The shadows that danced before seemed to settle down, and the glowing orbs have blinked out of sight, leaving only the soft glow of the candle flickering in my hand. I sit in that quietness, feeling the stillness settle over me like a warm blanket. But even in silence, I sense the house is alive with secrets waiting to be uncovered. As I look around, I notice the walls of the house. They're not like any normal walls. No, these walls seem to have a voice, a whispering voice that echoes softly in my mind, calling me closer, inviting me to listen. Can houses really whisper? Well, I think so because I can hear them now. It's a faint, gentle whisper, like a lullaby sung by someone long gone. The walls are telling stories of the house, of the land it sits on, and perhaps of the people who used to live here. Their voices are so soft that I have to strain to hear, but they're there, covering me like an invisible, comforting blanket, whispering secrets I never knew. I press my ear against one of the walls, and I hear it. Faint voices, like they come from far away. It's kind of like when you're underwater and you hear muffled sounds from above. You can tell they're voices, but you can't understand everything. The voices seem to repeat over and over, like a song that never ends. Sometimes they sound happy, like children laughing in the sunshine. Other times, they sound sad, like someone crying or a lonely voice calling out for help. What are they saying? I wonder, are these the voices of the people buried beneath the house? Or are they spirits that have hung around for a long, long time? Or maybe it's just the house itself, telling its stories to anyone willing to listen. Whatever it is, I feel comforted by the sound, like I become part of a secret club that knows all the house's stories, stories that nobody else gets to hear. I gently tap the wall with my finger, and suddenly, the whispering intensifies. It's almost like the house is trying to talk to me directly. I hear words, faint words like help, stay, and remember. It's like the house wants me to know something important. Something's been holding inside for hundreds of years. I wonder if the spirits, the ghosts, and the voices are trying to warn me or guide me. Then I realize something. The whispers aren't just coming from the walls. They're coming from inside me, too. I think I hear parts of my own voice mixed in, as if the house is weaving together my thoughts and its stories. It's a strange feeling, almost like the house is alive with my mind, sharing my fears and hopes all at once. I close my eyes for a moment, and the whispers grow louder again. It's like a choir of invisible voices singing together, soft, gentle, and full of longing. I want to understand what they're saying, what secrets they want to reveal. I want to know if the house is just remembering the past, or if it's trying to tell me something that's meant to be found. And I realize there's more, something I hadn't noticed before. Behind the whispers, behind the voices, there's a faint, rhythmic hum, like the house is breathing, or maybe it's heart beating. I press my palm against the wall and start to feel it. Soft, like a heartbeat, steady and slow. It's faint, but it's there real in the very core of the house. I wonder the house's heartbeat is what keeps all the whispers alive. The stories, the memories, the spirits. The house makes a soft, deep groan, like a long sigh when I touch it. And then I hear a new sound, a gentle clicking, as if tiny gears inside the walls are moving. I follow the sound to a corner of the room and find a small, hidden door, almost covered by a thick curtain. The door is old, made of dark wood, with strange carvings etched into its surface. I reach out and gently push it open. Inside, I see a small room filled with strange objects, old books, broken bottles, and a dusty, tattered cloth covering something large in the corner. The air here is thick with dust and the scent of time forgotten. I step inside carefully, feeling the cool wood beneath my feet. The whispers fade a little, as if the house is giving me space to explore. I walk closer to the covered object in the corner. I brush away the dusty cloth and reveal a large, old trunk. Its wood is cracked and worn, but for some reason, it looks important. I press my hand on the latch, but it's locked. I wonder what's inside. Maybe more secrets? Or maybe something that can help me understand this house better. Suddenly, I hear a gentle sound, like a soft, sad song. It's coming from deep inside the trunk. I hesitate, but my curiosity is too strong. I try to open it. No luck. The latch is stuck tight. I want to force it open, but I know I should be careful. Maybe the house doesn't want me to see what's inside. That's how secrets work, right? I sit down beside the trunk and look around. The whispers come back, soft and soothing now like a lullaby. They tell me to be patient, to listen and to understand. The house is teaching me that sometimes secrets need time. You can't rush them. You have to wait for the right moment, for the house to be ready to reveal what's hidden. As I sit there, feeling a strange calm, I realize that the house isn't just a spooky place full of shadows and whispers. It's a keeper of stories, stories of love and loss, of secrets buried beneath the ground, and of spirits that still wander in the dark. It's alive with memories, waiting quietly for someone brave enough to listen. And I know that I am that person, at least for now. I've come to understand one thing. Behind every shadow, behind every whisper, there's a story worth hearing. And tonight, I'm hearing the house itself speak. The ancient walls, the whispering secrets, the gentle heartbeat. Everything is telling me that they're not just ghosts. They're part of something much bigger than I can fully understand. The house breathes again, softer this time, and I feel myself settling. The storm outside is gone and silence has fallen. A peaceful, gentle silence. I close my eyes for just a moment and I listen to the house breathe, to the whispers in its walls, and to the quiet beating of its heart. I realize that perhaps the house isn't a place to fear. Maybe it's a place to remember, to listen, and to understand. Tomorrow, I will leave this place. But tonight, I am safe, wrapped in the house's stories, listening to its secrets. And as I drift off to sleep, I know one thing for sure. When the house whispers again, I will be listening. Because some secrets are too important to forget. The morning sun is just beginning to peek through the cracks in the old curtains, filtering that strange, dusty light into the mansion's gloom. I wake up just as the first birds start to sing outside, strange, cheerful songs that seem out of place in a house full of shadows and whispering walls. I sit up slowly, rubbing my eyes. My head feels full of questions, and my heart is still pounding from last night's strange adventures. The house is quiet now, softer than before. The whispers have faded into distant memories, and the shadows seem to have slipped away into their corners, waiting patiently for night's return. But I know better. I know that the house is never truly silent, and secrets linger just beneath the surface. As I stand and look around, I notice something unusual. A faint, almost hidden door tucked behind a thick curtain near the staircase. It's small, old, and worn, with strange carvings etched into the wood. It looks like it's been there forever, just waiting for someone brave enough to open it. I step closer, my fingers trembling as I reach for the latch. The latch is rusty and cold, but I manage to shift it open gently. The door creaks loudly, so loud that I jump back, startled. I expect the house to shake or the walls to groan, but nothing happens. Slowly, I push the door inward. Beyond, I see a dark, tiny staircase spiraling downward into darkness. An icy chill runs down my spine as I peer into the opening, wondering what might be waiting for me underneath. The stairs are made of old stone, uneven and worn down by time. Dust floats lazily in the air, settling on the steps and swirling like tiny clouds. I take a deep breath, trying to stay brave. After all, what could be so scary about a secret basement? Maybe it's just an old storage room, or maybe it's something more. I grip the rusty railing and slowly start to descend. Every step echoes softly in the silence, like the house itself is whispering, "Be careful." I notice that the further I go down, the cooler the air becomes. It smells different here, damp and earthy, with a faint scent of something old, something alive and waiting. The basement is much bigger than I expected. Walls made of rough stone rise up on either side, and in the faint light, I see cobwebs hanging like curtains. I step carefully, my eyes searching for anything unusual. The air feels thick and heavy, like I'm walking into the house's deepest memories. Suddenly, I spot something on the wall, a small, old, metal box attached right in the middle of the stone. It's rusted and covered in dust, and it looks like it hasn't been opened in years. I reach out and brush the dirt away. There on its surface are strange symbols carved into metal. Symbols I've never seen before, swirling and twisting into mysterious patterns. I try to open the box, but it's locked tight. I press my ear against it, listening for any clues. Inside, I hear something faint, like a gentle humming or maybe a heartbeat. Whatever it is, it makes my skin crawl with a strange mix of fear and curiosity. I wonder what secrets are hidden inside this small, old box. I look around the basement, noticing the faint glow of a tiny, flickering light coming from a corner. Carefully, I walk toward it. There, beneath a wooden shelf, I see a dusty box full of old papers, photographs, and strange artifacts. Some of the photos show people I don't recognize, people in old-fashioned clothes, looking serious and sad. Others show places I've never seen before, dark woods, old tombstones, and silent houses. As I flip through the pictures, I realize that this basement has been a place where secrets were stored, secrets from the house's long, strange history. I see drawings of the land beneath the mansion, a detailed map that shows underground tunnels, hidden rooms, and even the burial ground that lies beneath. I realize that the house's past is buried here, in this dark, quiet place. And then as I turn the pages of the old papers, I find something even more startling. A diary written in long, fading handwriting. I carefully open it and begin to read. The words are about the house, the land, and the people who lived here long ago. It talks about strange voices, shadowy figures, and the secrets buried beneath the ground. The writer describes feeling watched and hearing whispers echoing through the walls. Suddenly, I hear a faint noise behind me. I stand frozen in the dark basement, gripping the dusty pages of the old diary, my heart pounding in my chest. The faint sound I just heard, the soft rustling behind me, feels like a ghostly breeze, whispering secrets only the house and its spirits know. I turn slowly, my eyes searching the shadows, trying to see what's there. But the darkness is thick and the basement is silent again, as if nothing has moved except my own breathing. With trembling hands, I opened the diary wider and read the next pages. The words confirm what I suspected. This land is full of buried secrets, and the house wasn't just built randomly on the hill. No, it was built directly over a burial ground, an ancient cemetery. The diary describes how long ago people buried their loved ones here, carefully, lovingly, or maybe fearfully, hoping the spirits would rest in peace. But something went wrong. Something dark and powerful was buried with them. Something that still lingers today. I shiver as I realize how close I am to something huge. Whatever is down here isn't just stories from long ago. It's part of the house's heartbeat, part of the whispers and shadows I've been seeing. The paper says that some of the buried were not just ordinary folks. No, they were villagers from a long-lost town, and some are thought to be cursed or haunted even in their time. It said that they were buried with strange symbols carved on their coffins, symbols meant to protect or to trap the spirits. As I dig deeper into the diary, I find a description of an old stone marker at the edge of the burial site. It's called the heart of the land, the writing says, and it's believed to be the center of the whole buried town, and maybe even the source of the house's strange energy. The diary says the marker is covered in strange symbols, just like the box I found upstairs in the basement, and that it's essential to understanding what's going on. Just then, a sudden cold breeze sweeps through the basement, chilling me to the bone. The candle flickers violently, casting wild shadows on the stone walls. I hear a faint whisper, almost like a voice calling out from deep within the ground. Help, help, help! The voice seems to cry. I freeze, pressing my hand to my chest to feel my own heartbeat. The whispers grow louder, like the land itself is crying out from beneath the house. I want to find that stone marker, the heart of the land. Maybe if I can locate it, I'll understand what's been trapped here all these years, and perhaps I can do something to stop it. But I know I can't do it alone. Whatever is buried here, whatever spirits or curses cling to the land, it's stronger than I am. As I pack the diary and some papers into my backpack, I notice an old, rusty lantern sitting nearby. Carefully, I pick it up, hoping it might shed more light and scare away some shadows. I light it with a match I find on a shelf, and suddenly a warm glow fills a small, damp space. For the first time, I see the entire basement more clearly. Rough stone walls, cobwebbing corners, and a faint mosaic pattern on the floor, probably remnants of an old, forgotten altar or ritual site. I step out of the basement cautiously, the lantern swinging gently in my hand. Every sound seems amplified. The drip of water, the faint wind outside, and the distant echo of my own footsteps. I close the secret door behind me and climb back up the staircase, feeling a strange mix of hope and dread. I now know that this house isn't just haunted by ghosts. It's rooted in history, in land and curses buried deep beneath the earth. Before leaving the basement, I take one more look at the hidden room where the trunk was. I notice that the carvings on the small metal box seem even more mysterious in the lantern light. The symbols wave and twist, like a language I don't understand but somehow feel connected to. I realize that this isn't just an ordinary house with a dark past. This is a living history, alive with the spirits of those long gone, and they are calling out to me as I walk back upstairs. I think about the land beneath my feet. The ground is thick with secrets, stories that cry to be told, and the house, built right over the burial ground, has been waiting all these years for someone brave enough to listen. Now, I understand that all the shadows, whispers, and spirits are not just random. They are part of a bigger story. Stepping out of the basement, I clutch the lantern and take a moment to steady my breath. The house feels different now, alive with unseen energy, pulsing with the stories of past lives and long-buried secrets. The whispers I heard in the darkness still echo faintly in my mind, and I can't shake the feeling that I've touched something far older and more powerful than I could have imagined. I walk slowly to the grand corridor, eyes scanning every shadow, every flicker of light. I know I need to find a symbolic marker, the heart of the land, to understand what has been trapped down there beneath the earth. According to the diary and my own instincts, that marker must be somewhere near the burial ground or hidden inside the house itself. Somewhere that holds the key to resolving or unleashing the spirits that have been waiting for centuries. The mansion's layout is confusing. Long hallways twist and turn, doors lead to unknown rooms, and some corridors seem to disappear into dark, unlit spaces. I feel a strange sensation, as if the house is alive, watching me, testing me, waiting for me to find what I seek. My footsteps are quiet on the worn, polished floors, but I know that the house's whispers are still with me, telling me to be brave, urging me onward. Suddenly, I remember the map from the diary. It showed underground tunnels connecting different parts of the house and land, leading to burial ground and the mysterious stone marker. I need to find the entrance to those tunnels, or what remains of them. Only then can I uncover the full story, the secret that holds the spirits, and perhaps the curse, in place. I retrace my steps and enter a narrow stairway leading downward. This time, it's not the basement, but another hidden passage that's been concealed behind a false wall. It looks ancient and barely used. I push gently, and the wall moves aside to reveal a dark passage lined with rough stone bricks. A cool, damp breeze escapes in the opening, carrying with it a faint smell of earth and decay. I step into the passage, clutching my lantern tightly. The air here is thick with dust and the scent of history. The passage slopes downward, twisting and turning like a river in the dark. As I walk deeper, I notice odd symbols carved into the walls, symbols that match those on the small metal box back in the basement. They seem to glow faintly, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. The tunnel opens into a large underground chamber. It's filled with ancient stones and strange markings etched into the floor. In the center, a tall, jagged stone stands upright, the so-called heart of the land. Its surface is covered in more symbols, swirling like a spiral, almost glowing with an internal light. I realize this must be the source of the house's mysterious power, possibly a portal or the heart of the curse. As I approach the stone, I feel a sudden, overwhelming force, like a wave crashing over me. My vision blurs, and I hear the whispers again, louder and clearer now, as if the land itself is speaking directly to my mind. The whispers tell a story, one of ancient rituals and powerful spirits bound to the land, of a curse cast long ago to protect a secret buried beneath the stones. The diary mentioned that the villagers tried to hide the curse by creating a ritual, an ancient ceremony performed at the heart of the land to seal away the darkness. But it must have failed, or maybe it was interrupted. That's why the spirits are restless, and why the house is haunted. The land remembers what was done, and it's calling out for someone to finish the ritual, to restore balance, or perhaps to break the curse forever. I kneel beside the stone, tracing the symbols with my fingers. Suddenly, I realize that I have something that might help. Back in the basement, I found a strange, carved amulet, an artifact that matches the symbols on the box and the underground stones. I take it out from my pocket and hold it close to the symbols on the heart of the land. A surge of energy flows from the amulet into the stone, illuminating the entire chamber with a bright, bluish glow. The symbols whirl and shimmer, forming a pattern that feels ancient and eternal. I understand I am meant to perform a ritual, the final piece of a puzzle that has been waiting for me all along. I find some stones and arrange them around the heart of the land, creating a circle. I take a deep breath and remember the words I read in the diary, an incantation, old and powerful. I speak them aloud, softly, but I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of history and magic swirl around me. My voice echoes softly, reciting the ancient incantation I learned from the diary. As I say the words, The symbols on the heart of the land shimmer brighter, glowing with a blue-white light. The entire chamber begins to hum with power, vibrations, reverberating through the stone and into the very ground beneath my feet. The air thickens, almost like the house itself is holding its breath. The whispers that previously filled this place now rise in intensity, voices of long-dead villagers, spirits trapped in the land, crying out for release. It's as if the ritual awakens every spirit and every secret buried here, calling them forth. Suddenly, the ground trembles beneath me. Cracks appear in the stone floor, radiating outward from the heart of the land like spiderwebs. I clutch my amulet tightly, feeling a surge of energy flow through my body, propelling me into a state that's part fear, part awe. I realize I am standing at the center of something much bigger than myself, an ancient power that has been waiting centuries for this moment. The whispers become singing, ghostly, echoing melodies that span back through time. It's a song of sorrow, of hope, and of liberation. The spirits respond to the ritual. Their voices join with mine in a chorus of longing. It feels as though I am connected to the entire land, its history, its pain, and its hope. As the ritual continues, the symbols around me twist and turn, forming a swirling vortex of light and shadow. I see flashes of images, long-lost villagers, their faces young and old, haunted by memories they cannot escape. I see the burial ground with graves marked by strange symbols, eerily similar to those on the box and the altar. I understand that the curse is tied to these symbols, powerful remnants of a dark magic designed to imprison the spirits and guard the land's deepest secret. Then I hear a new sound, the cracking of the ancient stone beneath the heart of the land. It's fragile but fierce, as if the entire moment hinges on breaking free, shattering old bonds. I realize that I must do something to release this power, something more than just recite words. I need to trust this ancient magic, to let it flow through me, to claim my role as the one to break the curses and save the spirits. I close my eyes and feel the energy coursing through my veins. I imagine the spirits, the ones who've been trapped here, being freed from their prison, their voices rising in gratitude and relief. I thrust my hand toward the glowing symbols, feeling the power pulse through me. The symbols explode in a whirlwind of light and shadow, swirling in a mesmerizing dance. For one moment, everything is chaos, light and dark, past and present, spirits immortal. But then, suddenly, the storm subsides. Silence falls like snow on the land. The glow of the symbols dims, and the trembling ground steadies. The spirits, those unseen yet deeply felt, are free. Their whispers fade into a peaceful, almost blissful silence. I open my eyes to find the chamber bathed in a gentle, golden light. The heart of the land now appears calm, its symbols faded but gently glowing, like the embers of a dying fire. I feel a profound sense of relief and a strange, quiet happiness. I have done it. I have lifted the curse. The house around me seems to breathe again, lighter and more at peace than it has been in centuries. The whispers of the spirits are gone, replaced by a warm, comforting hum, like a lullaby sung by the land itself. I realize I have become part of that story now. I am forever connected to this place and its history. But as I turn to leave, I notice something strange. The ground beneath the heart of the land begins to pulse again, faint but persistent. The symbols on the stone flicker and shimmer, reminding me that magic and history are never truly gone. They lie dormant, waiting for the next moment when they might awaken once more. I gather my belongings and start to climb back through the tunnels I entered. Each step feels lighter, as though I am shedding a great burden. Outside, the house's old walls seem brighter. The shadow is gone and the air is fresh and clear. The storm that once threatened the sky has vanished. Only a light, breezy wind remains. As I emerge into the daylight, I look back at the mansion from a hilltop, feeling a strange sense of peace and accomplishment. I have touched the land's deepest secret, unlocked. Walking away from the ancient chamber, I feel a profound sense of relief coupled with a strange, lingering tension. In my hand, I clutch the amulet, my talisman and connection to the land's secret power. The house behind me stands silent. Its shadows cast far and wide by the rising sun, but I know that beneath its foundations, the land's ancient heart still beats softly in its own hidden rhythm. The villagers' stories now seem clearer to me, what the diary hinted at, what the symbols indicated. This place was more than mere soil pressed into a foundation. It was a vessel of history, magic, and suffering. The curse was lifted, at least for now. Still, I sense a lingering presence, a reminder that some things are never fully gone. They merely lie dormant, waiting, perhaps, for another time or another person to awaken them. I find myself on a new path, one that leads away from a mansion and toward the land's boundary, where native trees crown the hilltop and the old burial ground lies beneath. I pause there, watching the horizon, feeling the wind stir the leaves and whisper softly, as if the land itself was breathing a sigh of relief. I think about the diary and the symbols. They were not just curses and dark magic, but stories. Proof of a people's strength and their desperation to protect what mattered most. The villagers weren't just victims. They were guardians of a power that went beyond understanding. Power that could be used for both good and evil. And I had been chosen, perhaps unwittingly, to be the one to undo that curse. But what now? I wondered as I gazed across the land. Do I leave, or do I stay and guard the secret? Do I continue to listen to the whispers that still seem to hum in the air? I felt a strange awakening inside, one born from touching the house's ancient heart. I knew that my life would never be the same, not after this night, and not after this journey. And yet, I also knew that all stories, no matter how deep or dark, are part of what makes us human. The land, the house, the spirits, they are woven into the fabric of this place, and perhaps into me as well. I realize that I am forever changed, carrying the weight of history, magic, and secrets beyond my years. As I walk slowly down the hill, I spot a small, wrapped object lying near the base of an old tree. Curious, I approach and carefully unwrap it. Inside, I find a weathered, leather-bound journal, not unlike the diary I had read earlier. The pages are filled with sketches, notes, and strange symbols. This must belong to one of the villagers. A record, perhaps, of their final days, their fears, and their hopes. I gently turn the pages, feeling the weight of history in my hands. The journal reveals that the villagers had tried everything to save themselves. Rituals, prayers, and even desperate spells. And yet, the darkness persisted. But buried within their words is a glimmer of hope, an understanding that the land itself could be a powerful ally, if honored and understood properly. It's then that I notice something strange. A small, loose page tucked into the journal's pages. It's a map, detailed and hand-drawn, showing the underground tunnels, the burial ground, and a marked spot, somewhere deep beneath the house, where the land heart continues to pulse faintly even now. The map indicates that the true heart of the land lies in a specific spot, the core of the cursed land, somewhere I hadn't yet explored. I take the map, tuck it into my pocket, and turn back toward the mansion. My mind is full of questions and possible answers. Did I do enough? Was the curse truly broken? And what about the land's future? I know that the spirits may have been released, the curse lifted, but the land still holds memories, remnants of its long, turbulent history. When I reach the edge of the hill, I pause. There's a final message that I feel I need to deliver, perhaps to the spirits, perhaps to myself. I look back at the mansion, now bathed in sunlight, and quietly say, "Thank you for your stories, your secrets, and your courage. I promise I will remember, and I will guard your stories forever." As I turn away and start my journey back home, I carry with me more than just artifacts and notes. I carry a new understanding of history, that the land and houses are not just cold stones and dirt, but living memory, full of voices crying out across generations, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. That I leave the hilltop behind, my footsteps crunching softly on the gravel as I begin my trek away from the mansion and its buried secrets. Each step feels lighter, but my mind remains heavy with the weight of everything I've experienced. The land around me, once silent and mysterious, now seems to hum with quiet energy, an echo of the spirits that have been freed and the stories that have been told. The sun is high now, casting warm golden rays over the hills and valleys. Birds chirp loudly, welcoming the new day, blissfully unaware of the darkness and magic that had dwelled beneath the earth. Yet for me, there's a strange serenity, a calmness that comes from having touched something primal and ancient. I know that my journey has only just begun. First, I must return to town, small, quiet, and nestled amid the rolling landscape, where I can process everything I have learned. The villagers there are simple folk, but I know they hold their own stories of long ago, and perhaps they have sensed the house's darkness and the land's ancient call. I decide that I must tell them everything. The truths I've uncovered, the curse I helped lift, and the secrets that still linger beneath the soil. As I walk down a familiar dirt path, I reflect on what the house and the land have taught me. Magic, history, spirits. It's all intertwined, part of a story much larger than any of us. And in that story, I realize I'm no longer a stranger. I am one of the keepers now, someone chosen to remember, to honor, and perhaps to protect. The village comes into view, a cluster of humble cottages, smoke curling lazily from chimneys, children playing near the stream, and farmers tending to their fields. It's peaceful and cheerful, a stark contrast to the haunted mansion and its shadowy past. I wonder how they will react when I tell them what I've discovered. Will they believe me? Will they understand? I decide to visit the old town square first, where I can gather my thoughts and meet with some villagers, perhaps the wise old storyteller or the village elder whose knowledge of the land's history is unmatched. I head toward the town hall, a small building made of weathered stone, and find the elders sitting outside, sharing stories and jokes. I approach hesitantly, feeling the weight of my experiences. I need to talk, I say softly, and they look up, curious. I take a deep breath and tell them everything. The house, the basement, the shadowed tunnels, the heart of the land, and the spirits I freed. I show them the old diary and the map I found beneath the house, the secrets buried beneath their very feet. At first, they stare in silence. Some shake their heads, dismissing my story as fanciful or the result of too many nights alone in the dark. But others listen carefully, their eyes growing wide with understanding and recognition. The village elder, an old man with long, gray beard and kind eyes, finally speaks. Many years ago, he begins softly, our ancestors warned us of the land's power, the spirits that dwell beneath it. They said that if we disturbed the graves or disrespected the land, darkness would awaken. That cursed house was built right over the old burial ground, and the spirits stayed buried in memory, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. He pauses, glancing at me with a mixture of respect and concern. You've done what many couldn't, what few ever dare to try. But be warned, some spirits are restless, and the land's magic is unpredictable. It may seem to be at peace now, but you've stirred something that could still flare up if neglected or misunderstood. I nod solemnly. I understand that I have only scratched the surface of what lies beneath the land surface. The villagers' stories and my own experiences are just the beginning. There's much more to learn, much more history buried in the soil. Over the next few days, I stay in the village, helping the elders and sharing what I've uncovered. I speak with farmers who remember strange occurrences, unexplained shadows, cold spots, and fleeting figures seen in their fields. I listen to stories passed from generation to generation, each adding another piece to the puzzle. One old woman, who used to be a healer, tells me about a sacred spring forgotten in the woods, another remnant of the ancient villagers' rituals. She says that the spring was believed to be blessed, a place where spirits could be communicated with directly. But something happened long ago, and the spring dried up or was hidden away.